Hey guys, Samurai here, back again with another review. This is a review on Ash's third league, the Hoenn League, set in Evergrande City in the Hoenn region. Yeah, the Hoenn League takes place in the Hoenn region, who would have guessed? This is Ash's third league in a row, and he definitely made it quite far this time compared to the Johto League, because Ash was more experienced, but the difference here was he didn't bring back any of his old Pokemon. So I can't wait to see of what I personally think of this league, and see if I can become a fan like how many others like this league. Anyways, let's move on. Episode 125, like a Meowth to a flame. This episode introduces us to Tyson and his swag Meowth that looks like Puss in Boots. The episode is pretty standard for a pretty standard Pokemon episode. The gang go to get something to eat, and then they get attacked by a bunch of Murkrow, and then Tyson ends up saving them. Past that, they get to talking. Tyson has to run and be a torch runner, and through being a torch runner, they run into Team Rocket, and Team Rocket's trying to steal the torch again. Well, not again. I think this is the only second time they've done it during the league. But Team Rocket tries to steal the torch, but they end up failing because of Tyson's swag Meowth with Team Rocket's Meowth having some sort of a rivalry. It's very one-sided, but still there. But this is an enjoyable episode, so I'll probably give it a C rank. It's meh, but I still think there's enjoyment from it. Episode 126. This episode is the Planetaries, with a couple of interesting things. Let's begin with Morrison. Morrison and his Beldum, it evolves into Metang and wins the match for him. Who is this, Ash Ketchum? Next we have Ash himself, and he wants to be just like Morrison, so he tries to flex on Morrison by winning with Pikachu and only using one move. And he does, so pat on the back to Ash. And now we go to Tyson, who wins with his Meowth, who has an interesting reaction on fighting a Persian, it reminding it of past trauma where it got heavily beaten by a Persian and was basically exorcised from its group, like it got kicked out. This episode that moment definitely elevated the episode for me, so I'm going to give it another good B rank. Episode 127. This episode is used to market the main gimmick of Gen 3 being double battles. We actually get a round like this in the Hoenn League, which we never get in many other leagues. That definitely makes this league stand out. It's quite enjoyable, as Ash's battle between Torkoal and Tropius I found to be an interesting watch. Though it did end in a tie, we still got to see my boy Torkoal clean house, so I gave it a strong B rank. In episode 128. This episode is another double battle episode with Ash facing Clark the Conductor, and he was with Glalie. I didn't have to say that, but I did, because Glalie is based and heavily underrated. But in all honesty, this definitely shows Ash's unique battle style and how he likes to, think on his feet and use the field to his advantage. So this episode definitely was another good watch. Another strong C-tier episode. Episode 129. This episode is my personal favorite battle in the league. Ash's opponent was Katie, and she was using some legitimately good strategies that gave Ash a run for his money. She was using strategies like Destiny Bond with Glalie to get it to knockout, using Wall in his tankiness, and then using his... Episode 130. It's Ash vs Morrison now, and this is one of the most interesting battles we had with a rival. It started with Morrison not wanting to battle because Ash is a close friend, and he's never really had to be in that situation before, as Morrison again didn't used to be very competitive until he actually started to like battling and started to like winning. But again, he never had to face a close friend before, which is definitely an interesting way we've never seen a rival work, so I'm glad we got to see it this way. But Ash does encourage him to get into the battle and stoke his spirit, and this is definitely a close one to be sure, with Glalie giving the win to Ash. I didn't have to say that, but I still am, because Glalie's the MVP in this league. Anyways, this battle is still great. I still like Katie's a tad more, but I still love this battle for all that it did. We got some interesting matchup, like Steelix cleaning house. Like, we definitely got some good Morrison moments. This episode is definitely a very strong B tier. Definitely one of the best ones we've gotten in a while. Like, in terms of this point in the anime, this is definitely on par with most battles we've seen up to this point. Now, in episode 131, this begins with a double knockout, a sign of things to come in this battle. This is the battle between Ash versus Tyson, and it only gets more intense, with it coming down to Pikachu versus Meowth. And Pikachu loses. Now, I've seen a lot of people say, how come Pikachu couldn't knock out a Meowth when it mattered most? And to that I say, okay, by that logic, any Pikachu can knock out any Meowth, or Meowth could, like, get knocked out by any Pikachu. So you're telling me if our, like, Team Rocket's Meowth went against, like, a Pikachu that's, like, not very experienced, the Pikachu would win no matter what, because it has Thunderbolt? No, it's the amount of training it has gone. I think that has proved a lot, because Ash's Pikachu has been through a lot, so that's why it's not like a normal Pikachu, and so has Tyson's Meowth, so that's how I like to justify it. But yeah, this episode was definitely enjoyable. Tyson's another one of those rival simulator Harrison and Virgil, where he comes in the last minute, but, like, he was still enjoyable to watch. And this time, Tyson actually wins the lead, and, like, unlike Harrison, who lost to John Silver. Yeah, I still remember his name, John Silver. Anyways, this episode gets another A rank. And that's the end of the review. I heavily enjoyed this league. It's what I expect from a league. Like, when I think of Pokemon leagues, I think of this league, if that makes sense. Like, it meets other quota. It has great battles, some spectacular ones. It doesn't focus too long on Team Rocket. If anything, we rarely see Team Rocket. The only negative point is, like, near the end, I saw Meowth cheering on Tyson's Team Rocket, but not Tyson's Team Rocket, Tyson's Meowth. Tyson's Meowth. But that's probably the only negative point I can really mention, because Team Rocket again was really featured this time, which is good. We're definitely learning from what didn't work, because even that, like, in the Silver Conference, they still gave us plenty of Team Rocket. But now, like, Team Rocket barely takes up any screen time. We get to see whole battles, and, like, Team Rocket just really interrupting. But sadly, it is what I expect from the league. It doesn't exceed my expectations in any way. But it's similar to AG as a whole. That's what I expect from a Pokemon season. But when most people bring up battles from this season, they most likely mean the Battle Frontier. And I think that makes sense. The Battle Frontier had some truly all-star battles, like Ash vs. Brandon, Ash vs. Nolan, Ash vs. Annabelle too, so, you're competing with the Battle Frontier to the whole league. Most people are going to go with the Battle Frontier 9 times out of 10. Oh, well, that's my review. I'm going to give this league a rank of a B tier. It's definitely the highest rank I think I've given a league thus far. This is definitely one I recommend you watch. Anyways, that's it for me. Samurai out.